What's up? I'm guessing you clicked on this video because you're a senior in high school trying to figure out what to do for the rest of your life. Or maybe you're already in college, but you're now figuring out that a simple business major is not the best route for you and your goals. I know this because I was in your shoes deciding what major I wanted to do in college. I want to give you 5 points about finance and the major, as well as some tips and tricks along the way to help you make the best out of your college experience. And before I dive deeper into the world of finance as a college student, I just want to preface, if you're expecting a Wolf of Wall Street type of life, sadly that's not the case. Even if you're thinking about a career path in investment banking, private equity, or even hedge funds, which all make great money, the road is still a hard one, and the amount of people failing is greater than the amount of people succeeding. To put it in simple terms, finance can be boring. But with that being said, it can also be very interesting. Some parts of this career path can be very technical, and you need to be prepared for that. The financial world revolves a lot around certain tools such as Excel, Python, and even PowerPoint, which leads me into my first point, financial tools and software. Before coming to college, I had no clue how to even make a simple pivot table in Excel. Understanding and learning how to use these tools is crucial for your future work in finance. Almost every field of business uses Excel, as it allows professionals to forecast trends, manage budgets, track certain metrics, and so much more. Also, as we all know, AI is becoming very, very prominent in every industry, including business. Top companies are learning to train and implement it into their workflow, and is allowing them to operate in much more efficient ways. I wouldn't say you have to learn every single AI tool being used, but I would say you want to have at least a little experience with using AI. Again, you don't have to have it all figured out as a freshman or even a sophomore. If you get anything out of this point, mainly focus on Excel and build off of there. Once you get into your accounting and finance classes, you will start to use Excel a lot more, which will help you create a foundation for it. Stepping away from the more technical skills, my second point can arguably be more important. Also, this doesn't just apply to finance, but applies to college as a whole. You need to be a part of something. So many people have probably told you to join this or sign up for that, but extracurriculars are actually a lot more important than you might think. And the reason I can say this with such confidence is because I was doing the exact opposite my freshman year. Your first year in college is like an entire new place. You're living with a random person, classes are a lot more intense than high school because you're actually paying for them now. And maybe you actually decided to join something, but it's something that you genuinely enjoy doing. Freshman year, the only club I really ended up doing was my school's guitar club, which I still enjoy and I still go to, but I kind of regret not doing something related to my major. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just tell you, you only need to do this because it looks good on your resume or do this because of school. I believe that it should be a balanced mix. The main thing I'm trying to get across is that you need to be well-rounded. And like I said before, you need to be a part of something. The best advice I could give to someone that's coming into college or you're currently a freshman in college is to join one club that's related to finance and another that relates more to you. There are so many reasons why you should be joining a club that's related to finance. Professional speakers come and speak about the industry. You get to meet like-minded people, resume practice, interview tips, the list goes on and on. I spoke about it a little in my first video, but I'm aspiring to be a CFP, and I actually have an emphasis on my degree in financial planning. But I wouldn't have even thought to do that type of career path if I didn't go to certain club meetings and talk to certain people that have been through that career. And talking to people actually transitions into my next point. Networking is your greatest tool. Now, whenever someone says network or networking, you might not actually know what that means. Imagine this. There's an event you attend with a room full of all these people that are a part of all these companies, and they came here to visit your school to look for people like yourself. Another example is you might go to a meeting, and after the meeting, they give you a time where you can have a one-on-one talk with the speaker. These are the main examples of when someone says to network. And whenever I say this, I mean talking to people and building a real connection with them. In my opinion, the hardest part is trying not to force the connection. And to be upfront with you, that's probably going to happen the first couple of people you talk with. But getting out of your comfort zone and speaking to people that are veterans in the career field that you're interested in is very, very important. It opens the door to many new opportunities, as the people you speak with may have knowledge on certain positions or internships that they would be more willing to give you, or at least give you an application for because you've met them and built that connection with them. I also believe that networking is your greatest tool because you are building so many soft skills without even realizing it. The first time I ever spoke to any professional was an accounting networking night my college had set up. I had no interest in accounting, but my buddy told me that it would help me practice my people skills and I would have the opportunity to speak to someone in a more professional environment. The first person I approached, I was a nervous wreck. And to be completely honest, it was a total fail. Somehow I found my composure, finished talking to him, and moved on to the next person I saw. It was also a complete fail, but I did 1% better. Never be afraid to talk to people even if you think you're very reserved. Networking is not about being outgoing or an extrovert. It's more about showing someone that you're interested in what they do. Imagine someone younger than you came up to you and started asking you about your hobby and was genuinely wondering because they wanted to start for themselves. You wouldn't think of them as a burden. You'd be excited to share what you have knowledge of. The best advice I can give on networking is to just keep doing it over and over and over again. Networking is a skill in itself, meaning that the first couple times are going to be awkward, but the more reps you put in, the better and better you get at it. I really want to make a video about networking and more tips and tricks I can give y'all to speak to professionals, alumni, and even students that are older than you. If you want to see that, just leave a comment down below. Going back to the actual curriculum of your finance degree, what you learn about may be different than what you envision. You don't really learn how to manage money. This is especially true in your first couple of semesters as a finance student. And while you may start to niche down into certain parts of finance, a lot of it is learning about how companies operate. How do corporations raise capital? How to value cash flow? In my first finance class, most of the stuff we went over was tools you may have heard of, but you don't really know how they actually work. Bonds, loans, types of markets, interest. There's so many more. Before I picked this major, I thought that most of the classes I'd be taking would be describing how I could build my personal finances. I thought it would teach me what stocks should I invest in and how to use a Roth IRA or a high yield saving account. The reality is you'll probably never talk about it unless your professor brings it up. I know I keep repeating myself, but this is especially true as a first year finance student. They aren't teaching you personal money. They are teaching you corporate money. They want you to learn how businesses raise capital, what they invest in, and how to evaluate projects that turn profit. Also, to address any questions about the actual material, finance is very, very math heavy. You will be learning a ton of different formulas and ratios that help evaluate a company's finances. As you go throughout college, classes do become more in depth about certain topics. For example, next semester I'm taking a class called Investment Analysis, which obviously goes over what companies are investing in. But again, the only thing I'm really speaking on here is about the first couple of years as a finance major. Also, one last thing. Finance and accounting work almost hand in hand. You'll be taking accounting classes side by side as you learn about the financial statements and how crucial they are to the financial world. Although these classes talk about different topics, they do kind of connect in certain ways to your finance classes. And please don't think that you don't have to pay attention in your accounting classes because they're arguably just as important as your actual major classes. Just wanted to throw that out there because whenever I picked this major, I didn't really know how closely they followed together. And after all that time talking about classes, I'm about to tell something that may shock you. My fifth and final point is that grades matter way less than you think. Please let me explain this though. This honestly applies to any business major, so even if you aren't going into finance, I hope you get value out of this. Don't get me wrong, your grades are still very important as they're a representation of how good you did academically. They show how focused you are in class, how hard you're studying, but we all know this already. However, these classes you're in are not designed to be showing you what you will be doing in the workforce. They are just the theory behind everything. And it's still important that you grasp a little bit of what everything means. Your main goal in college is to accumulate a degree that increases how much money you're going to make in the future. Essentially, it makes your profit floor go up. But the main way you're going to stand out in the job market is not through a simple GPA. It's through your experience. Let me use an example. Say you own your own business and you're currently deciding between two candidates to pick for a new position. One of these candidates did very, very well in school, and they actually have a GPA that's about 3.7, which is almost all A's. The other candidate was not as high, having only a 3.0 GPA, but he had something the first candidate did not have. He had an internship over the summer and a few certifications that demonstrate exactly what you were looking for the position. Moral of the story, the second is always going to win. Again, your grades are still important. I'm not telling you to skip classes or party all night, and companies still want to see that you're doing well in your classes, especially your finance and accounting ones. But the main thing is you need experience that you can put on your resume. This relates to my previous point about networking, as you want to find professionals in your field that have already been on this path. You never know if they have a position for you or not. The main advice for this point is that you still need to study hard, but I promise a couple B's will not hurt you in your job search. Please remember to go out there and be active in your school, even if it's for your career or not. Take as many shots as you can. Remember, the more you take, the more you will make. I hope I piqued your interest in finance as a first year major, and please leave a like so I can know to make more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.